Well, hello, everybody. This is Dr. Troy Dukowitz of the Commit and Go podcast, where we encourage you to make big commitments, take big action, and create big-ass results in your life and business. Today's topic is this: how do I get them to move? So this comes off the heels of an email I recently received, and I'm going to read this to you, and then we're going to have a dialogue around it. Greetings again, Troy. I just wanted to let you know how much I enjoy the podcast. I tend to fall behind, but when I lock back in, it's just a matter of days before I get caught up. As much as I enjoy the podcast for myself and what the information can do for me, how do I handle those in my life who have no interest in what it brings? I've tried having them listen, and it gets met with, at best, an eye roll. Is this a matter of me projecting my issues on them and trying to think what might be good for them, or am I just handling it the wrong way? Thank you for your time and dedication. Sincerely, Dr. Mark. Well, Dr. Mark, thank you so much for sending this in. And folks, let's have a conversation around this, because this comes down to a communication type of a situation here. You know, if I go and really let's look at the scenarios here, because Dr. Mark, the question might be this. And folks, let me, think about this. If you've ever done this before, where you've done something that you enjoyed, it's had an impact in your life, and you want so bad for other people to experience it. So they didn't really ask you about it, but you kind of walk in and you go, oh my gosh, I got to tell you, I've been listening to this podcast by Dr. Troy Dukowitz, and it's called Commit and Go. You've got to listen to it. I tell you, you absolutely have to listen to it. And the person is sitting there going, okay, well, this is unsolicited advice. I never asked you for this, but okay, fine. And they might have the eye roll, or they might say, what is it about? And then maybe you start talking about, well, you know what, it's super cool because it's like everyday lifetime things that go on and how we can take those challenges and turn them into victories. And you can just start to take action and really create more in your life and in your business. Well, see, now at this point, all I'm doing is this. Wah, 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 wah. Like I am the teacher from Charlie Brown in this moment, because the person on the other end is like, well, how does this pertain to me? Why is this important to me? Why do you think something's wrong with me, that I need to go listen to this guy? Or do you think I'm incapable of taking care of myself? The knee-jerk reaction for many people is to just think, well, who does this person think they are telling me what I need when they don't really know? Or they think they know me, and now they think they know how to fix me. I'm not broke, or I never asked you to fix me in the first place. So that's one scenario here, which we're all guilty of. Sitting in conversation and just telling people what we think they need. We've all done it. Then there's the other scenario. In the other scenario, maybe we're sitting with a group of people, and in that group, somebody says, hey, you know what? Is there anything that you you've read in the course of the last month or 2 months, or listened to a podcast or videos that you watched that really had an impact in your life? He said, yeah, I got to tell you what, I've been listening to this podcast called Commit and Go. It's by Dr. Troy Dukowitz. It's on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher, and it's been fantastic. These are really short. They're less than 10 minutes, and every single day they give me an opportunity to kind of hone in on a message and an action that I'm going to take that day, so that I can make commitments and take action, so I can really start to move the needle in my life. Oh, wow, that sounds really interesting. Notice I'm not telling them that they need to listen to it, and they asked me what I listened to. And they're going to be more receptive to the messages that you have. So as I read this from Dr. Mark, I can only assume that it's scenario number one, where he's telling people what to do. And we've all been there. I'm guilty. You're guilty of it. We've all been there, where we tell people what they need to do to be successful. And yet the flip side of this coin, in reality, now Dr. Mark, as he says, am I projecting my stuff? Maybe he is. Maybe he is projecting what he wants for others here. But there's also the other side of this, which we all possess as well, is that we try to save people. We want so bad for them to be successful. We want so bad for them to be happy and healthy. Look, I had this syndrome years ago, where I was a savior. When I started coaching some 15 years ago, I kept saying no, I'm going to interview people, and I only take on people that I think I could help. The problem is that I believed I could help everyone. I would listen to their story, and my heart would just say, oh my gosh, if Joe if he just does what I tell him to do, he is going to be super successful. And the problem is I was trying to save this person. I wasn't looking to do what I do now. What I do now is I'm a guide. I walk along a path with you. We find and identify actions that you need to take, and I help to hold you accountable to those actions, but I can't do the work for you. You have to do the work, and I am the support system along the way. And years ago, I thought I was a support system, when in reality, I was a savior. And I'm just telling what you need to do. And all that was week after week of frustration for people not taking action. And yet I saw in them more than what they saw in themselves. But what I can tell you is there's plenty of people after all these years that because I saw that in them, they took the action and they've created success in their lives. And so those were people, they weren't looking to be saved. They were looking for the guide and they were taking the actions. And so as I sit here and I talk about this and contemplate this in my own mind, I've been there. Mark, I've been there. You, the listener, I've been there where I wanted so bad for somebody else to be successful that I would try to get them to listen to the podcast, try to get them to read a certain book, try to get them to take certain actions, have a morning success ritual and certain healthy routines and habits. And the problem with that is if they have no interest, if they have no value on their health or on their relationships or on their finances, if they don't want those things, then my advice falls on deaf ears. And I end up frustrated along the way if I'm a savior. Now, let's look at the opposite of this, which is being a leader. And as a leader, what do I have to do? I have to lead, as cliche as it sounds, I lead by example. Meaning that I am just going to continue to take my own advice and I am going to lead by example day in and day out. And as people see me living this way, they start to ask me questions. They start to inquire, how are you living this way? How is it that you have such an amazing connection to your family and your wife and your kids and you're still running a business? How do you do this and you're still traveling? How do you do this and you're at the lake 4 or 5 days a week? How do you guys pull this stuff off? And people start to want what you have. And when they ask the questions, they are leaning forward, wanting to know what you did and how they can get there. So if I'm a leader, I am simply going to lead by example. And people will want what I have. And you've listened to me long enough, whoever you are listening right now, I have no problem sharing with you the challenges that I've had. And I also share with you what I do to move past those challenges. Because I'm constantly working on this ability to grow and expand my life on a day in and day out basis. And so with that being said, if you want to help somebody, we must change the word help to support and not take over the work for them, to just support them. And then I have to change the way in which I approach this. Number one, I've got to lead by example. Number two, I've got to ask questions. And I've got to listen, is number three. So I ask questions. What do you do? What do you want? Where do you want to go? What do you want to create? What do you want to start? And so you ask questions so that the person sitting next to you or in front of you knows that you're taking a genuine interest in their lives. And they may or may not be interested in solutions as you ask questions. And that's okay. Your only job at that point is just to listen and then continue to ask questions. And maybe if I ask a question that says, how is it that you're approaching your health? And they say, well, I do this, 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 and this. And I keep asking maybe about their health, and I keep asking about their health. And then I might say, are you interested in a solution? Because this is an area that I specialize in. Now, I've been a chiropractor for 20 years, so I can do this. I can sit and I can talk to somebody, and chiropractors, they go out and they just want to throw up all over everybody and tell them that they're a chiropractor and how much chiropractic can help them. I don't approach it that way. I ask people about their health. From a coaching perspective, I ask people about their life, how they're living, how is their family life, how is their personal health, how is their energy, how is their focus, what do they do to unwind at the end of the day? Are they sedating with alcohol, or are they actually finding ways to connect with family? I ask questions. I identify where they're at. And then through the conversation of continuing to ask questions and finding out where they want to go, ask them what they think the obstacles are along the way, and ask them what their solutions are to those obstacles. I'm not telling them what to do. I'm just taking a keen interest in their lives. And if I find that I'm connected with the person really well, I am going to say, if you don't mind, I'd love to offer some advice here that I think could really help with this particular obstacle that you may have. If they want to hear it, they're going to be open to it now. Why? Because you were willing to listen and hear them out. There's an adage that says, they never care how much you know until you know how much you care. They don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So if I sit and I'm willing to listen and just see where they're at, I see their starting point. Here's their problem. And then all of a sudden we start to talk about the possibility of where it is that they want to go. And then there's a path to get there. And on that path, they are going to have challenges. They are going to have difficulties. But in this conversation, by this point, if you've truly been listening, because you've been asking, you're opening the door of permission permission to share with them books, podcasts, coaches, coaching that can help them on this journey along the way. And guess what? If you've been living the life that they're trying to live, you are leading by example, you are an authority, and they're going to want to have a part in the life that you've created. So I hope this answers the question, Dr. Mark. But to everyone out there, because we want so much to be able to help other people, we have to remember the best way for us to be able to help is to lead by example. And if I lead by example, I start to open up doorways, and I start to open up pathways, and I start to open up the possibilities that we can work together. I open up the possibilities that they can truly get to where they want to go if they're willing to use support along the way. And for some of them, that just might be the Commit and Go podcast. So take a look at your life right now, and where is it that you're trying to save people? You're trying to tell them what to do instead of creating a dialogue, being patient, taking a genuine interest in their lives, and finding ways to add value to their lives without truly telling them what they should be doing, but showing them by example, listening with a kind heart, kind ear, and a kind heart, and then asking them if you could share a possibility or two. That's all I've got for you here today, folks. I am Dr. Troy Duke. This has been the Commit and Go podcast. We encourage you to make big commitments, take big action, and create big ass results in your life and business. We'll hear you next time. Bye-bye.